Hello and welcome to Indian class. This is, this is the view when you enter. This is a cork board where we post all the things that are important for us, for dismissals and meetings or whatever. This is a small table, and there's a view, an overview of the classroom. Okay, but we can start with here is our culture. We start with the geography. For the geography, we have the maps, and then we have, land and water forms, the different biomes. We have, for each different continent, we have the flags and their work. We move on to the science shelf. Here you find the first grade lesson experiments on top. And then we have, so it's basically astronomy. So you get the experiments are solid, liquid, and gas. There is the volcano. And then we move on to atoms and molecules, and then we have more into the space and astronomy, and then we move on to the solar system and activities related, and then we move on to earth sciences and rock formation. On top we have some black cards where kids can do further work on constellations or star formation. Here we have the history shelf with the clocks and days of the week, months of the year. There is also the Montessori birthday. There is the clock of eras. There is the different books on civilizations. Okay, next we have another history shelf. I'm going to move away. I'm trying to close the door so that it's getting quieter or calmer. Somebody got in and forgot to close the door. Okay, so there's the history shelf, and with the history shelf we have the different eras, and then the black strip and the human needs. There's an empty space. We're trying to get the timeline of the hand, and then also we have we got new material on the ocean, and there is, of course, the water cycle. So we're just trying to continue with our materials. There is a table, working space right here. To continue with our culture, there is the zoology, but we start with the botany. Of course, the botany is over here, and very simple. We have the puzzles, and the leaf cabinet, and then we have living and non-living. But to be honest, the first one is the deciduous and evergreen because it's fall. We did some work on that, and we have living and living. We have plant and animal sort, and then we have, of course, the material is not complete, but we start with parts of leaves, parts of plants, parts of seeds, and we're trying to get more materials ready to put on the shelf, like parts of I don't know what's missing. Did I say flower, leaves, plant? So flower is not there, so we're trying to continue with that. Then we have the zoology. Also, we have the animal puzzles. We have the vertebrate and non-vertebrate. We have the families. The fish, and then the amphibians, reptiles, birds, and then mammals, and then more about their characteristics, and then we have the human anatomy. So that was the culture. Moving on to the math. So for the math, we have many shelves. It's actually, so we have we do have like a shelf for, supposedly a shelf per operation. For example, we're supposed to have one for addition, one for multiplication, one for subtraction, one for division, because we start with addition and multiplication first. So we have the story of numerals, we have the same paper numbers, we have the introduction to decimals, you know, the trays, and then we have the segments, the segment boards A and B, we have the underboard. So the decimals, yeah, and the bank before we start with the operations, and then we have the bingo games, the short and long beat frames, we have all the control charts. Then we move on to multiplication. Of course, there's the snake game before then, the bingo game, the addition strip board, and then we have the multiplication next, the unit board, the Pythagoras board, and we also have the multiplication. We have the tiny things here for the checkerboard, you know, the tiny, like, red and green and blue square parts for the introduction. Then we have other multiplication. In the middle, we have the beat cabinet. Then we have, here we have the subtraction and division one cabinet actually. And then finally, we have the, you know, the operations, you know, starting to record, more practice until they down here, or on the very left, they have the word problems, so that they're really ready for recording their answers and more analytical operations. Now we have two side tables, you know, floor tables, and right here we have the like two shelves. One is for geometry, and one is for fractions and decimals. We used to have the Skittles, but somebody borrowed them, but we do have the other materials for division, I mean for fractions, and then we have the decimals. Okay, there's equivalency. What else? We have the squaring, algebraic. We're supposed, I don't know where oh, here they are. Okay, so in here for the geometry, we have the binomials, trinomials, and materials for squaring, algebraic, and then there's the pegboard, materials for cubing, and there's the math. This is the million cube, of course, material for that. Next, we have the language. Here we have shelves for the Arabic language. These are 4 shelves, side tables here. And then also we have the language. For the language, we have 2 shelves that are the reading shelves. Okay, we have the same paper letters, we have the Bob books, and then we have Kathy's work. Start with the short vowel, then the second shelf is for the blends, and then we have the long vowels, and then vowel partners, the first shelf, digraphs, and then the sentence level reading. This beautiful, I don't know what we call this beautiful material. It's like the alame, but it's in small cards. It's beautiful. My children started writing sentences with it today. It was very, very useful for spacing of words, and it has full stops and it has commas. It's like beautiful, beautiful. And you start writing, it's beautiful. We have more reading material. We have here cards. This is very useful for independent work. Like you write them a chart that they keep, like every day they finish off one, but after giving them lessons, of course. Next we have the maths here, and then we have introduction to cursive writing. Of course we have print, same paper letters, but we also have cursive, same paper letters. We have the boards, double lined and then single lined. It goes from simple to complex. I always put on the back, I put what, because we use it in Alien, and on the back I use a label which tells my children exactly which letter this is. We have the metal insets, the colored, of course, colored pencils, and we have LMA for inventive writing. We have more the phonogram and the digraph, same paper letters. We have beautiful material actually for the handwriting. There's the wooden planks with the wooden pen, There is the families, loop and hump, and what else? And the family. This is like the down here we have the blackboard with a chalk blackboard, which they start with the sandpaper letters first, and then they trace on the blackboards, and then they trace on their calligraphy journals. We also have tracing material freehand with board pens. This is really beautiful. The second shelf here is parts of speech. It's the grammar, and we start with the story, the land of the part of speech story, and then we have all the symbols, symbols tray, and then we have the insets for labeling, and then we have we're really working on the nouns, so we started with a noun, name, place, and thing, common and proper, feminine and masculine, concrete and abstract, plurals, and so on, and then we're about to introduce the article, and I have material here for the farm game. Next we have the grammar boxes. Of course, I'm still in the process of really completing this. It's not complete. Next we have and of course, on top we have these drawers are for the word study. Okay, so we have a lot of word study. We're still in the like I really put away things and then really return them to the shelf if needed, or I just move on if no one needs them in class and so on. So we have the compound nouns, we have the antonyms, we have the synonyms, we have the rhymes, we have down here is antonyms, prefixes and suffixes. There's synonyms, and then we start the sentence analysis, and of course the boards up here are for sentence analysis, and we have the things that help us out. The last one here is for the spelling, and we have Washika's beautiful program here that takes them from actually starts at the blends level down to the phonograms. So beautiful. And then we have like more vocabulary, poetry, and then we start the reading comprehension and go together words. So it's like basically vocabulary building. Then we have the board, and then we have the calendar. We put down the calendar on the board where we start. There is, of course, they have jobs, and each one, that's his job. He starts telling us what the date is, what's the weather like, and here is internet and research facilities. There's the Peace Corner, where they can also play music. There's a xylophone. It's like a peace and quiet area. Here's like a self-care area where they can put some creams, or put some perfume or rugs for purposes. Right here is the stationery, and we have their portfolios, and we have like all the pencils, and we have their plans. There are drawers where they keep their work. There's the kitchenette. Of course, there's a toilet here, and then there's the kitchenette. There's an oven, fridge, and a lot of good stuff. And finally, we have some reading material in the Peace Corner where they can read. And then finally, we have the practical life area, which is very good for building their motor skills. I hope that was everything and I didn't forget anything. So thank you for watching.